Hey friends, it's Missy again. Thanks so much for stopping in today. I'm back with a new layout for Pinkfresh Studio, and this layout is for the June challenge, and this month it's all about die cuts, and the color scheme there is so pretty. It goes with the Happy Blooms collection, so that's what I'm going to use. And I pulled out 6 pattern papers from the 6x6 paper pad, and I'm going to make some die cuts here. This is a die set from Pinkfresh Studio. It's called Phrase Builder U, and I'm going to use the word awesome. And I had an idea floating around in my head. We're going to see if it works out. I pulled out my manual die cutter here, and the cool thing about this die set with these words is you get 2 die cuts in one. You get the actual word, and then you're going to get the outline of the word, and you'll see here what I'm talking about in just a second. So you get the open empty inside outline of the word, and then the actual cutout. So my thought for this design, for this layout, is I wanted to create a rainbow using rainbow colors, using a bunch of these die cuts of the word awesome. So I cut 3 awesomes out of each color, and so I have 6 because I have 3 actual words and then 3 of the outlines, and I thought I would alternate each one and kind of create this big arcing rainbow going across the page. And what I realized really quickly is that the outline of the word, it didn't bend as easily as the actual word, so I'm gonna just kind of play around for a while. Right away when I started making this, I thought, I don't know if this is looking like the idea that I had in my head. I don't know if this is going to work. So then I scrapped that and thought maybe I'll just do horizontal lines across the background. And then I thought, I don't know if I like that either. So I took a break and thought, let me just go ahead and work on the background here and get that going. So I am using thick, smooth white cardstock for the base, and I'm going to coat it with clear gesso because I'm going to do lots of mixed media on the background. And I like to prep the paper and allow me to, get it ready for paint. So this is kind of what I had in mind after I took a break and tried again. I went back and cut more of just the word. And I'm not going to use the outline of the word. I think it looks easier to see, and you can actually read the words. So yeah, I'm going to use some of the liquid watercolor from Pinkfresh Studio on the background, and as you can see, I just used the very last of my sky blue color, and I'm going to just basically create a color wash on the background. So that means I'm just going to splatter some color down, spritz it with water, and then basically just turn the page this way and that way and use the brush to kind of create this big blue splotchy area all over the background. I did add a smidgen of the aquamarine color, which is a little bit more on the green side. And I do want to remind you that the liquid watercolors are being phased out. There are only 4 colors left over on the website, and I believe the sky blue is one of them. They are $3, and once they're gone, they're gone. So if you want to get your hands on any of those remaining colors, go check those out. I'll link it down below. Okay, so now I've got sort of what I would call my little abstract sky in the background, which is the blue. And then I'm going to try to rebuild this rainbow and see if this even makes sense, or see if I even like it, or if we're going to scrap this whole thing, because I still wanted it to look like a rainbow, but I wanted it to be made of words. And so the actual words were easy to kind of bend and arc to where you can still read them, but they still were able to, kind of be manipulated there to fit the shape that I wanted. And I actually like this. I thought it was cool. I thought it was something different. So I'm going to very carefully add little dabs of glue to all of these words and go ahead and get those down. And yeah, I don't know, it was just something different. I liked it, and we're gonna go with it. I let it all dry, and then I went through my sewing machine and just did some white straight stitching through each arc. And I love machine stitching because it just creates some fun texture and some interest and some detail. And yeah, so the background is done as of now. I'm going to go ahead and start working on the photo. That's a pool photo, obviously. I like the way that the pool water matched my background. And that's one of my favorite things to do when I'm creating a pool layout. I love to have the idea of water or sky on the background. And in this case, I feel like I've got some water and some sky kind of all being represented in the same color. But yeah, I wanted to focus on die cuts. And so the background is made with die cuts. And then I pulled out the Happy Blooms die cut pack. And then these are some of the cardstock stickers. And you know, you can make die cuts out of stickers easily. All you have to do is stick them to some paper and then cut them out, and you basically have your own die cut. This is the second pack of die cuts over here on the left, and it's strictly flowers and leaves and clusters of florals and leaves, all kinds of beautiful flowers and leaves. So I'm going to cut some of those out. I'm not going to use a lot of those, but I'm going to use some of them. And I trimmed off the big thick white border because I didn't want it on there. So I'm just going to cut that off and then start to play around with placement of things. I'm not sure what I want where or what color flower I want in what area. So yeah, it's just a matter of playing around with everything. Not ready to glue down or anything like that. So that's a big die cut that says Happy Memories, and I kind of just tore it, and I'm going to tuck it up there above the photo there, and that kind of just gives a little bit of separation between the photo and that background. And 9 times out of 10, if I make a layout with a sky or a pool feel, I don't know, I'm just feeling clouds. So this is just some scrap white cardstock, and I'm going to wing it and just cut a couple of fluffy little puffy clouds to go in the sky area. I'm going to cut 4 here. And that piece of cardstock is from my stash, but it has gesso on it because I think I was going to use it for something else at some point and then wound up not doing it. So yeah, it does have gesso on it. Not that that really matters, but yeah, I like that. So we're going to do something with the clouds here in just a minute, but I wanted to play around with some of these little tags, some more of the stickers, some more of the flowers, and just, yeah, here's what I'm talking about by cutting up some of the die cuts. I just want a specific flower that's on part of the die cut, so I just cut it out. So for the clouds, I'm going to run each one through my edge distresser there, and that's just going to sort of distress the edges. In that little gadget there's like a little teeny tiny blade, and it just scrapes up the edges of the clouds or of the paper, whatever you run through it. And then I'm going to use a gray gelato from my stash just to add the hint of shadowing on the clouds. So I'm just going to run it around the edge of the cloud and then stick my finger in some water to smudge it. And that just gives it a little bit of a gray hint. I don't want them to look like thunderclouds, but, you know, I want them to stand out. And, you know, clouds aren't just solid white. They have shadowing, and they have different, you know, different colors sometimes. So I want them to look, I don't want to say realistic, because obviously this doesn't look realistic, but as realistic as possible. I did add some machine stitching along the bottom. I don't even know why. I just liked the way it looked, so I did it, and it just added a little something extra to the clouds. Since they are just kind of, you know, plain and white, it added a little something to them without being too overwhelming. It's just a little subtle detail that I like. And then I'm going to work on adding in some thread. Again, another thing I just like to add because I like the texture it adds. I like the pops of color. And yeah, you know, the more layering of detail sometimes the better. And I think thread is perfect for that. And it's also really easy to use. And I'm going to tuck that light blue color right underneath the photo there. And you can see there, it just adds a little something extra. It's not something that's going to you know, take away from the photo or be so busy that it distracts from anything. It just adds a little something extra. And add some pink over there to the left. I didn't want to add any thread that was going to overlap on top of the awesomes because that's busy enough. And thread on top of that would just make it look messy. So I wanted to keep the thread kind of on some areas that were just solid, so I kept it down there on the blue watercolor area. And I am going to overlap that yellow flower right on top of the photo there because there's room for it. You know, in the photo, she is over to the right, and so there's lots of area on the left for overlapping things. And I wanted to make sure that the photo was situated on the right side of the page because she is looking toward the left, and it kind of gives the feeling that she is looking across the page, so she has something to look at. I try to, you know, I don't know, I create all these rules for myself. There's no right or wrong way to do it, but that's just one of my things. I don't know. It depends on the person's face in the photo as to where I position it on the layout. So yeah, that's why she is on the right, because she is looking toward the left. Now for the title, I didn't want to do anything huge, but I wanted to use these green puffy alphas from this collection, but I didn't want them to be this green. I wanted them to be a different color. So I thought I would go simple with the title and just do Such a Good Day. And I'm going to show you how easy it is to change the color of stickers, because you know, how many times have you went to make a layout and you have the perfect stickers for your title, but they're the wrong color? Don't worry, you can change it. If you've got some white gesso and you've got some paint or some color of anything, you've got gelatos or sprays or watercolors or whatever, you can change the color. All I'm doing is sticking my finger in the gesso and dabbing it on top of these letters. I let it dry and I did a second coat, and you can still see the green kind of showing through. All I'm going to do is go back to that sky blue watercolor and a dry brush and just paint them, and it works great. You know, they don't have to be perfect. They're going to definitely look like they have some texture because of the gesso and the fact that I use my finger, but you can see there that they're definitely not that bright green color. You can see the difference there, and that only took a few minutes. You just have to let the gesso dry for a few minutes and then add whatever color you want. And in this case, you know, they're still in the, I would call it in the green or blue family, but they're just not that, you know, grass green color, because I wanted them to kind of not blend in, but match that, the watercolor on this layout. I wanted them to match that color a little bit better. So, and once I got to playing around with other things down there and try to figure out how I was going to situate the title, I decided to not use the word such. It was just too much and it would be too long. So we're just going to go with a good day. And it does take me a while to figure out the best placement for all of these letters. I do want the photo and the tissue paper on the photo to kind of overlap the title, which is fine. I like to do that sometimes, and you can still tell what the word says. But the first time I do it, I do it like this, and I felt like it was too stacked. I don't know, it bugged me. But I just kind of played around with the thread, overlapping that flower that's pink. I wasn't sure, I don't know. I didn't love that. So I moved it over to the left a little bit to see if that was any better. Still wasn't loving it. I felt like it was too cramped. So yeah, I don't know. I let it sit for a while, looked at it, tried to play around with what I was going to add around it. Wasn't 100% sure. I didn't want to add a lot of things down in that area because I do want that watercolor to show, you know, since this is a pool photo, but that's what I wound up doing. I took another break off camera. I just decided to go straight across. And then I wanted to kind of reiterate the awesomes. And I had an extra one in that pinky coral color. And so I'm going to add that kind of overlapping the A Good Day. And I like how that turned out. So it's kind of like two titles in one. So I thought, you know, I've got all these awesomes going over here in the rainbow. I kind of want to echo that and bring it back over to the title area. And I don't know, I like it. It's something different. And it is a little bit arced because, you know, it kind of, like I said, mimics the arcs and the rainbow. And I like it. And then I had this little floral cluster down underneath it here, trying to bring the yellow, the pink, and then that periwinkle blue color, kind of all the colors in the rainbow on this particular rainbow, kind of down here to this area. And I just very carefully glued the awesome to the A Good Day. And you can still read what they say, even though day is kind of covered up. So now I'm going to use some of my favorite things from Pinkfresh Studio. These are the essentials, crystals, and jewels. These are actually all jewels. The jewels are kind of an iridescent, shimmery little rhinestone. They're flat on the bottom, and then they're kind of flat on top, but I'm going to show you up here in a minute, up close, when I show you the up close photos. They are so pretty. They add such pretty sparkle and shimmer and bling to your layout. You can use them for so many things. I'm going to use them for the centers of the flowers, and then I'm also going to scatter some around down by the title and then up around into the clouds. And they come in 12 different colors. They're awesome. I'm going to link those down below as well, so if you want to check those out. The crystals are similar, except they are more clear, and then the top part of them are more pointy, but they still have a flat bottom, so you can glue them down really easily. All right, so I got all of those glued down. I use mostly the light blue ones up in the clouds, but you can see how pretty they are. They just add some fun sparkle, and sometimes when they hit different lights, they look a little bit of a different color. But yeah, I love those. I hadn't used those in a couple of weeks for my layout, so I was happy to bring those back out. And then once I got to looking at it, I felt like I needed some more blue up in the sky area, because there's so much white going on in this layout, which is fine, but I just wanted more blue. So we're going to come back in with the background here. I'm going to come back in with that sky blue color and just use a brush and kind of after the fact here, add some more blue around the clouds. And I think this makes the clouds stand out a little bit more and just kind of brings a little bit more to that sky area. And it just, I don't know, I just felt like it looked a little bit better because, yeah, there's just a lot of light whiteness going on. And plus, I just wanted to paint again, you know, if I'm being honest. I wasn't finished with my brush. I'm going to add some splatters because, you know, why not? Have I made a layout in years without adding some kind of splatter on it? Probably not. Probably not. But it's pretty subtle. It's not going to be too dark. I'm going to dab it up so it's more subtle. All right, almost done. I'm going to add the journaling right down here at the bottom, and I'm going to use my gold metallic pen. And then I do go in afterwards and add some gold splatters with some gold spray. But that's the final layout. I really like how this turned out. It was a lot of fun to make, and I feel like I used a lot of die cuts, you know. I even made some of my own, which is always fun. But here are all the details. You can see how fun those awesomes turned out. And I love how those title stickers turned out, that I changed the color. And it was really easy to do that. I hope you will give that a try the next time you want to use a different color with your alpha stickers. You can start to see some of the little crystals, or not the crystals, the jewels that I use there, and how they look so pretty in different lighting depending on what color they are. But yeah, I took a lot of close-ups here. Let me know if you have any questions. I hope you'll participate in the challenge. As always, you have a chance to win a $50 gift card to the Pinkfresh Studio store, and there are a ton of things in that store. Collections, dies, stamps, you name it. All kinds of stuff. But I'll link everything down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a great week.